That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Hellraiser, a reconfiguration of the Clive Barker classic, which of course he originally adapted his own material in the 1987 film production. David Bruckner it was eventually granted the reins of this, kind of, I guess, remake, rehash, whatever you want to call it, that is being released on Hulu October 7th, 2022, just in time for Halloween.
So, I know we watched the original.
And Hellbound 2, or the Hellbound Heart, because, was it Arrow Video put those out a couple years ago?
So, we've watched two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay. Which was the first one, the one with the guy like in the attic and...
The Adulterers.
Yes.
That's what I remember most.
Yeah, there was sort of like sadomasochistic vibe to it. Mm-hmm. It felt kind of sexual.
Kinky.
Yes. I recall enjoying that film well enough. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one doesn't have that vibe at all.
Yeah, the Clive Barker's original, and to a degree the sequel, I think, exist kind of in a realm of their own. They're kind of strange and off-putting and fight against like genre formulas in interesting ways, as did, I think, Barker himself in his literature, because of course it's based on the Hellbound Heart.
Okay, the basic story is, and this, well, there are always spoilers. Okay, there's a billionaire named Roland Voight, played by someone I recognize.
Goran Višnjić, who's kind of like the Croatian Hugh Jackman. He's giving me. You know him as Christopher Plummer's boyfriend in Beginners, and he's also he's in a ton of stuff. But he's in a really great film starring Tilda Swinton called The Deep End, which is of course a remake of the Max Ophuls Joan Bennett film noir.
I did like him. Anyway, he plays this billionaire, and the opening of the film is we're in his mansion in Massachusetts, and he's having some sort of get-together.
The opening's actually in Serbia.
Oh, that's right. Well, but let me tell my story. So we see Roland in this mansion, and he's having a party, and this like hot young guy comes to the party dressed like, I don't know where he thought he was going, but he walks into like this ballroom where there are all these like, looks like pieces of art, and one of the sort of installations is the puzzle box that we all know from the Hellraiser movies. Mm-hmm. And this guy's playing with it, and Roland walks in, and he's like, oh no, keep playing with my box. And then the guy like twists it into a configuration, the box like cuts him, and then the Cenobites come and get his ass. Then we flash forward 6 years, and we realize that billionaire has been missing for 6 years. Okay. That billionaire has been locked in his mansion, trying to find someone to take the box and configure it in a way so that he can have ultimate power. And we can get into that. But what he does is he employs this guy, Trevor, who's dating this girl, Riley. Mm-hmm. And Riley is the star of the movie.
Yes, played by Odessa Azion.
And Riley is made out to be like kind of like this loser, like...
She's a drug addict.
Kind of like so teetering on her sobriety. And one day her boyfriend, Trevor, is like, oh, like... I work by these like warehouses, and I noticed that all these super rich people leave shit there, and there's one person who left all their stuff there, and I don't think they're ever coming back, so we should go break in and steal his stuff. And Riley's like, okay. So they go break into this warehouse, and there's nothing in the warehouse but a safe. They break open the safe, and there's a box inside of another box, and then there's the puzzle box. And she's kind of like, oh, well, I guess I'll just take the box.
Very Emperor's New Groove.
She plays with it, configures it. She does it the appropriate way, and then the Cenobites come and visit her ass. And there's more to it, but basically...
She unlocks the first configuration in a way where she doesn't get stabbed, and then the Cenobites, the lead hell priest, visits her and says, you gotta...
Because the thing is, when the box, like when you configure correctly, it like stabs you, and whoever gets stabbed is like the sacrifice to the Cenobites. But... She avoids it, so they tell her what's going on. And we learn that this puzzle box has 6 configurations. And if all 6 can be met, so if like 6 sacrifices can be had, then that person can have like the ultimate power. So
they can have a meeting with God.
Yeah. So Roland has employed Trevor to get someone to do this so that they can like lure this person back to his mansion, and then he can have, because he's been living for the past 6 years like in pain, because one of the configurations, there are 6, and it's like power, sensation, popularity, something like that.
But they all have more
Sinister meanings.
like liminal and Leviathan and blah, blah,
Yes, because Roland chose sensation. And this fool thought that meant like he was just going to be busting nuts for eternity. But really, sensation meant like he's going to be in pain for eternity. And he has this device on him that's constantly like rotating his nerves so he can never be numb. So of course he's in agony and he's trying to get someone to come in with this box so he can be released.
What should have happened to Jeff Epstein?
So Riley ends up like with this, messing around with this box. She kills her gay brother / roommate
By accident.
In the process, she kills like 3 people before she makes her way with Trevor to the mansion, like Roland's mansion. And then that's when she learns that this is really a ploy by, she overhears Trevor talking to Roland in his mansion. So she realizes she's not going to complete the 6 because her plan was to complete all 6 to save her dead brother. One more of her, like her roommate gets killed, so now it's 4. She needs 2 more, and she ends up killing one of the Cenobites.
The Chatterer.
So that counts for another one, and then her boyfriend ends up getting killed, so now it's 6. So the 6 configurations have been met, and these Cenobites and the priest are very reasonable or like loose with how they define the rules, because they sort of let Roland take the win because he's the one who brought her there. And so then he chooses to see God, which we can get into. But then they also give it to Riley because she satisfied the 6. So they say, well, which of the 6 do you want? And she's like, I don't want anything from you people. And they go, oh, so that means you chose the lament configuration, which means we just leave you alone.
Which is how I believe how we were introduced to the puzzle box in the original Hellraiser film.
And they explained to her, like, okay, so this means you're gonna like not gonna be involved with any of this, and you're just gonna live out the rest of your life miserable because you're gonna regret all the things you did to these people.
It'll be bitter and short.
And she's like, that's fine. The end.
Very Hollywood.
Yeah, the end. Okay, the basic story I found interesting, and at the end I'll talk about, because I think this could have been I have a better idea, I think, for what this should have been. But I liked the bones of it.
Sure.
I think what hobbles this movie is Riley.
She's a very unlikable character.
Oh my god!
Like in anybody that's around her that gets lassoed into this, be like, God, I would hate you if you did that to me.
Yeah, her brother can't stand her ass. He kicks her out of the house. The boyfriend's pissed at her. The other roommate can't stand her ass.
What's funny is she was one of the people in, I think, was their least favorite film last year, Let's Scare Julie.
Oh, she was in that?
Yeah.
Oh, I just couldn't. I mean, she has nice hair and she has very full lips. So that's all I can say. But yeah, that characterization was so grating.
Well, it's just like, oh, so you want to die. Like every choice you make is like, oh, well.
And then as the audience, I wanted her to die too. So it was kind of hard to, there's no like redeeming quality to her.
And as such, there's kind of, the tension hits a plateau very early. And it kind of drags for a good 45 minutes, I'd say.
Yeah. I'll just go through my notes. When we first are introduced to this function at the billionaire's house, my first thought was, what is this function? And then the guy
who looked like Bella Thorne.
Joey, his name's Joey. He was dressed like he was going... Okay, we got cut off. I don't know where we were.
You can start with he was dressed.
Oh, so this Joey character, he's dressed like he's going to like a gay bar in 1997. Even his hairdo, it was very interesting. Like where did he think he was going? We are first introduced to Riley. She's in her apartment with her boyfriend Trevor, and she's having sex with him, and they're being quite loud. And then I thought a funny transition is the two of them come out of the bedroom, and we see that all of her roommates are in the living room looking at her like, bitch, we can hear you. I thought that was funny.
Yes, but all of them are kind of one-dimensional also. It's like, oh, and it becomes clear very early on. It's like, oh, you're just going to all be sacrificed.
I did like her brother because he is very forceful with her, like, because Riley has been sober for quite some time. And then...
like 6 months.
Well, 6 months is a long time to be sober.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know. But then when she agrees to commit a felony with her boyfriend by breaking into a warehouse, she also starts drinking the same night. So it's like, you're doing a lot, honey. And then when she comes home, her brother's like, I'm sick of it. And he throws her ass out. So I kind of like that at least his character wasn't like pacifying her.
Sure.
Or he had come to his wits' end.
Sure, but then you have Nora, the roommate, who's actually played by Aoife Hinds, who's the daughter of Kieran Hinds. Has nothing to do.
No, she doesn't. My next note was, are we supposed to want Riley to die? Because she was so annoying. What does Riley think the answer is, and who owns the cube? Where did I write that down?
Because she traces the brother's disappearance because he goes first, and they don't know what happens to him. Because how could she possibly know? So then she thinks to try to trace who this box might have belonged to or who left it there, and automatically it immediately segues to her going to this private hospital where Serena Menaker, who's played by Haim Abbas, an Israeli actress I really like a lot, who opened the